Yamato, located in Gujo City, central Japan, was once the home of a fierce warrior clan, where they ruled from the top of a mountain, from their castle where they planned battles and drank sake and wrote poetry. My name is Catherine Watley, and I am a researcher of classical Japanese literature. I'm going to take you on a tour of the古今伝授Field Museum, located under the same mountain from which the Toll family clan ruled, where you can still experience this history today.
Let's start with a festival that has hundreds of years of history, one of many in the Gujo area, including 2 that are UNESCO Heritage listed. The Nanukabi Festival takes place every year on August 7, here at Myoken Shrine. Some of the rites have changed little since the medieval era, especially the Dengaku dance. This long history makes it quite possibly the oldest festival in Gujo, and quite rare nationwide.
Upon being granted the land in 1221, the Toll family moved from Chiba Prefecture to Gujo in what is now Gifu Prefecture. At that time, they brought with them their shrine and god and built a shrine here on this land. And a shrine remains to this day. The Toll clan were not only warriors, however. Tono Tsuneori was given the task of safeguarding and transmitting the Kokin Denju. The Kokin Denju was an esoteric poetry commentary specifically of the Kokin Wakashu, which was a waka poetry collection. He and others safeguarded it and transmitted it only orally for hundreds of years.
Tono Tsuneori loved poetry, and in addition to safeguarding the Kokin Denju, he also wrote a lot of his own poetry. Though at the time poetry was important politically, it seems Tsuneori especially loved poetry. We still have many of his poems left. Sogi was an undisputed master of renga, a type of linked poetic verse that was popular in medieval Japan. Sogi spent time in Gujo.
It was right here at Myoken Shrine that Tsuneori transmitted the Kokin Denju to Sogi between 1471 and 1473. This giant cedar tree is 500 years old, meaning it was here all those years ago when the transmission happened.
On his way back to Kyoto, Sogi stopped at a little spring nearby and wrote a poem. You can still visit the spring today, now named after Sogi, in nearby Hachiman.
The road leading to Myoken Shrine is lined with beautiful cherry blossom trees. It is said that this road was created for the Toll clan, who were famous for horseback riding, to practice horseback archery. And it's from here that you can see Mount Shinowaki. Mount Shinowaki was the mountain from which the To family clan ruled for 230 years during the medieval era.
The site of the castle, which just finished excavation, is a short hike from the museum and shrine.
And while the To clan did have a castle at the top of Shinowaki Mountain, they actually spent a lot of their time below the mountain in a mansion that was located right on these grounds. The site of the mansion had been lost, but was rediscovered in 1979, at which point there were excavations on this site. Later, the area was registered as a nationally significant historical site, and it was made into a park. And as you can see here, there are a few things that are still remaining from that time. First of all, you can see here a lake that was created by the To clan as part of a garden, a water feature for the mansion. And I'm standing right here on the steps that would have been used to take off your shoes in order to enter the mansion. And then over here, you can see a number of the foundation stones that are remaining from the mansion. The mansion was used for around 230 years, some 560 years ago. You can see some of the things that were dug up at the excavation at the Toshi Memorial Museum, across the river from the park. Numerous sake cups and teacups, as well as implements used for calligraphy and imported pottery, were found at the dig site. The museum also has some original writing by Tsuneori and Sogi. And here you can see Tsuneori's writing and you can see Sogi's writing. A brief walk from the Toshi Memorial Museum leads us to the Museum of Waka Literature. Waka was the dominant form of classical Japanese poetry, and a waka poem consists of 31 syllables. Waka is also the ancestor of the haiku, which became famous in the later Edo era. The To family loved waka, and we have many of Tsuneori's waka remaining today. This museum highlights the local connection to waka history and also focuses on waka literature more broadly.
Some waka are particularly important, however. In 1468, the To clan briefly lost their land to nearby Mino domain holder Saito Myochin. Tsuneori, who was acquainted with Myochin because of their mutual love of waka, wrote a series of 10 linked waka verses talking about his love of this land. The legend goes that Myochin returned the land because of the sentiments expressed in those waka.
Of particular interest is this beautiful 36-meter-long mural, which depicts scenes from the Kokinshu, a waka poetry anthology, as well as the古今伝授. As you may remember, the古今伝授was the transmission of esoteric poetic knowledge about the Kokinshu, and it was only transmitted orally. And in this scene, you can see Tsuneori transmitting the古今伝授to Sogi, as it occurred just over there at Myoken Shrine. If you spend enough time here, you too might receive some ancient poetic knowledge. The museum garden incorporates traditional Japanese garden techniques and also incorporates the local natural surroundings, making it beautiful in any season. In addition to the history of the To clan, this museum also preserves some local history, including this root cellar and these walls that were created to stop animals from entering. This local history is incorporated into the museum grounds, preserving it for the future. The grounds also contain a cafe featuring thousands of Japanese poetry and literature books. Anyone can come here and drink a cup of coffee and read and browse the books. There's also a French restaurant that uses local ingredients. And finally, we come to my favorite building in the whole complex, the Shinowaki Villa. The Shinowaki Villa is built with traditional Japanese architecture principles in mind. It's here that poetry gatherings are often organized, where poets gather from far and wide, just as they did hundreds of years ago, in the time of Tsuneyori and Sogi and Saito Myochin. This building is also used for local events and exhibitions, as well as for classes. The building is designed so you can see Mount Shinowaki from the seated position. I've often sat here and thought about the connection of this place to poetry, and wrote a poem or two, and thought about the history and the local surroundings. Maybe on your trip, you too can sit here and think about the connection of the local surroundings to history and write a poem or two while contemplating Mount Shinowaki.